Hello, my name is Laura Savage. I decided to do a show on writing, and the focus of the show is the Writers Center in White River Junction. And the title of the show is Writing in the Junction. I myself do some writing, and it's very good for your feelings. It expresses your emotions, and a good way to organize your thoughts. There are many forms of writing: poetry, journalism, fiction, nonfiction, and it's a good way to express yourself in a card or a letter to somebody. So the show I've produced for you today is an interview with Joanie Cole with the Writers Center, and you can watch that, and I hope you enjoy that, and get to a computer, get a pencil and paper, and do some writing. It'll be good for you, and you'll feel better. Hello, my name is Laura Savage. I'm a resident of White River Junction, and my show is about writing in the Upper Valley, White River Junction, and in the Junction. And the focus of this show is about writing and the importance of writing and all kinds of writing. So I chose to interview Joanie Cole, who's the director of the Writers Center in White River Junction, and it's in the Dreamland building in the back, and she holds classes and workshops here.
Right.
And we'd like to talk more about the Writers Center. So let me go ahead with that. I'd like to ask, when did the Writers Center actually start?
Well, in inception, it was before my first daughter was born, which was about 18 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But we actually met in a back room in my house then. But I've been doing this and have been teaching workshops and bringing writers together for almost 20 years. The space here, I think I've been here 5 years.
Oh, cool. And where do these students come from, and what are their age ranges?
Yeah.
Age ranges.
Anyone who wants to write or is writing is welcome at the Writers Center. So they come from all over the place. They come from St. Johnsbury and Montpelier and Burlington and Norwich and West Lebanon, and they're
Places that far away, like Burlington.
Yeah, because there aren't too many places where you can get really quality workshops outside of a university system or outside of an MFA program, and really get the kind of feedback that nurtures you but also teaches you, and get the kind of deadlines and inspiration that gets you to finish what you want to finish. So the Writers Center is a little bit unique. It surprises me that people come from so far away. And of course, so within our own community, we have a great group of writers, and they're all ages. I mean, we had a couple college students on leave from their summer terms to people in their 80s writing and being prolific and really contributing great stories.
Have any of the students been published?
Oh, lots.
Oh, wow.
Lots and lots. Short stories that are all over in literary magazines. Obviously, people are getting books published from traditional publishers. We've seen more and more self-published books because that's the trend now. One, though, the commonality is they're really quality pieces because they take the time in a workshop to learn craft, to rewrite, to really give their pieces the dignity and integrity that they're due.
Another question, what topics do you write about? What are your different topics, classes you offer?
Well, the workshops at the Writers Center include writers of fiction and creative nonfiction, which is memoir or personal essays, or autobiographies, funny genre fiction, twisty, turny thrillers, mysteries, domestic dramas that just blow your socks off, high literature, fun romps. It's all over. We welcome
people want to write about.
If someone wants to write sincerely, we're not about the genre. We're about them writing to the best of their capability and really creating the kind of stories people want to read.
Okay, this is another question about writings, and can I ask you've done some writing? Do you have a degree in writing?
I have what is my degree?
Where do you have
English and journalism way back when. Then I got my master's in liberal studies where I did a collection of short stories, and I've taken, oh my gosh, tons and tons and tons of workshops, and I've taught in Minnesota and in a little bit in Philadelphia and at conferences around the country, and in MFA programs now. So
that's great.
Yeah, a real diversity of writing experience and teaching experience.
Now, we have a book that Joanie wrote, Toxic Feedback. It sounds good. If you want to get your butt going, can I say that? This sounds like a good book.
Yeah.
I know some people have a hard time and they like to write and they don't know how to get things done and
Right.
published. It sounds like
So
if
true,
they
Laura.
want to come in and get some help here, that it's
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. And we're about getting published, but actually that's a side benefit. We're about writing more and writing better and being happier, because if you're a writer, who isn't happier when they're writing more and writing better? So
Definitely.
we're really about getting
Yes.
the kind of books that you want to write, or essays, or articles that you want to write, written to the best of your ability, so they really communicate something meaningful to you. The publishing is, a whole nother realm, which we do teach here sometimes, but it's about writing those quality manuscripts. And to me, after almost 20 years of experience as a writer and teaching writing, the difference between writing and not writing is often feedback. If you write within a community, if you find somebody to partner up and get readers along the way, you're much more likely to write and write productively. And so this book and my whole philosophy is find a community of writers to share, read out loud, share your work, push each other, support each other, give really insightful responses to each other's work. And I think sometimes the party line is people are afraid of feedback, or think feedback isn't necessarily necessary. They don't want it to corrupt their writing or their vision or their creative process. It's actually the opposite. The more you are involved in a writing community, the more it's going to serve both your writing and yourself as a writer. So this book is to help people to find a community, to find how to make the most of that community, and to just be kind to each other in a very productive way as we help one another to write the kinds of things that matter to us.
That's
The title
That's
is kind of
good.
scary, but it's really
Yeah.
about supporting each other and providing very quality feedback.
So maybe it's better to not just sit in your room and write in a journal and keep writing on your pad, but to share it with people and let other people hear it more. Than
That's
get
often the
out
missing
and
link.
get- move on
Right.
from journal writing and get
Right.
into.
That's
we have journal
so
writing
good, Laura,
and move
yeah.
on.
I mean, writing is a solitary act, but it doesn't have to be a lonely one. And 90% of writers get in their own way by thinking that they just have to keep it to themselves and not share it during the drafting process. There certainly is a time when you don't need feedback, when it doesn't feed your goals, but more often than not, I see people writing in isolation, and what happens is then they stop writing. And they might write and write and write, but it's not
Nobody's
productive.
reading it. So it should be read.
Well, and that's
Shouldn't
the
it?
magic and the gift of writing in literature is you're not writing a grocery list, you're not writing a secret diary, which have their
Exactly.
own
Yes.
values.
Okay,
You're
yes.
writing something that should mean and communicate something to other people. That's why you're spending so
Okay.
much time doing what usually is a pretty costly and time-consuming
Yeah.
pursuit. So what a gift to allow readers to see it even during the writing process. And it's a gift to you as the writer, because you get so much more insight. It revitalizes your writing when you're tired of it. It shows you are connecting with people, and it gives you real insight into craft and skill so that you can make that writing be the best it can be. So find a writing community.
A writer's group.
Yeah, a
And
writer's
read
group.
your writing. That's what I think people should do, is
Well,
read
yeah.
your own writing.
Oh
out
yeah,
and
absolutely.
have people
That gives
listen.
it a dignity.
Gives it
as well.
dignity, definitely.
But find the right writing group, because
Yes.
we all probably have been in some where, it did more
Yeah,
damage than good.
yeah.
But that's another thing that book is trying to counter is when
Yes.
you're in a good writing group, it is magic. It is a community that will change your world. But of course, we also know that for sometimes really simplistic reasons, writing groups don't work. And so that book also will help to show this is what works in a writing group, and this is where you're going to be in big trouble if you don't pay attention to some of the things that make a lot of groups fail.
Is there anything you'd like to say about writing in White River Junction and all the other options in writing?
Yeah.
They've got, well,
Yeah, I see trickles
there's
of
not
other
much.
options.
It's just here. I mean, they've got the library, groups.
Well, there's
and
certainly
that-
a lot of groups that are meeting on their own and doing great work. And I'm sure there's other workshops out there. I'm not that tuned into them
plus the
because
colleges.
you know, I want them here. But yeah, from Iliad to Lebanon College,
yeah.
there's definitely options. I think the more classes you take from a variety of teachers, the better. But if you really want quality feedback, this is a good place to both start and continue your journey. And if you find yourself in a group that doesn't feel good, then get out, because that's where it can get dangerous. And find yourself another group and use us just to fill in the blanks if you want to between forming your own groups. But definitely find a community. Yeah, and they're out there in the woodworks here and there, but hopefully this is centralized. This is so meant to be so welcoming. And so feel free to just test us out. It'd be great.
Another question, what is the level to, and like if you take a workshop here, what is the level, if you put it in, of writing that you need to be in a, say, take a workshop here?
If you want to write,
level to enter?
right. If you want to write, you are welcome. I don't care if you have any skills at all. The chances are if you find yourself in a chair in the circle, you have some affinity to writing. Because why else are you here and not bowling on this night? You know, so right there, that is plenty.
Right.
You have to feel like you really want to try this. And then you're welcome. And we will give you skills. We will give you the craft if you don't have it. And we will give you the motivation to keep going and the appreciation for what you're trying to do. Draft by draft by draft. So no one is not welcome. No one is not qualified to come here. I don't have advanced classes. Even though I have a lot of people that are publishing books or have book contracts, my classes aren't advanced. They are, you want to write? Come and write with us. It will be more fun, for sure, and more productive, too.
Another thing, just to, that's good. That sounds like a good place. Another thing, just to get off the Writers Center, you have to know how to write. And in English, you have to know the words, the alphabet, and put it all together.
Of course.
So you know, it's very interesting. And and if you're going to handwrite it, you have to have handwriting. And writing has been going on since way back when. You know, and on stones in way back.
I think though a lot of people look at that kind of stuff and feel like that's prohibitive. Oh, I can't write because my handwriting stinks. I've heard people say that. Oh, I'm not a writer because I didn't go to college. Oh, I'm not a writer because I'm just a visiting nurse. It's crazy the things that people think exclude them from the writing realm, but everybody has stories of worth to tell. Everybody has something to say. And the beauty of it is everybody has their own powerful voice. So if you try to write like me, you can't. If I try to write like you, I'm going to tank. But if I find my way to my own voice and tell the stories that matter so much to me, whether it was about my grandma or some action adventure that I'm all excited about, then you're going to succeed. You're going to have fun in the process. You're going to do something meaningful. So everybody can write if they find their way to their own voice. And grammar, we'll fix that. And don't lead with grammar. That is important, but it's important in the back end.
That's what I was mostly getting at, is the grammar, the words,
that's
how they're
important in the back
also
end. If you write in your own voice, in a style that feels comfortable and natural to you, your grammar's going to be just fine.
Okay.
And if some periods need correcting at the end and commas, well, that's why writing is rewriting. But there is nobody who wants to be in the world of writing who can't be. And don't let those things that matter, but they matter way over here, get in the way. Handwriting can be addressed. A lack of a computer can be addressed. Not understanding the basics of grammar can be addressed. You got a story to tell, you want to tell it, we can get you there. And it is so important. If people don't tell their stories, who else is going to tell them? There is no undervaluing what you have to say or the story you want to tell. There is no story like yours. No matter how many other books are written about your subject, if you're not writing it, nobody's going to write it. And, you know, that's why I just really want people to give it a try.
One other thing, what do you say about the digital age and all these, people are reading more on the computer, aren't they? And magazines and stuff, and a lot of newspapers have gone out of print.
Right.
So I like the book and I like the magazine. Is there still a future in that writing?
That's a big question.
In newspaper writing and journalism?
I think
What's
good
your
writing
opinion?
is just good writing, and you know, my opinion is I'm glad I don't work for a newspaper because it's a pretty risky business. But a good story in whatever form, whether it's online or in hard copy, is going to come across powerfully. And I guess people think a little bit differently in terms of writing for the web. I know when I write for the web, news articles or feature articles more accurately, it is a little different than when I write for something that I know is going to be in print. But still, the shape of a story, the flow of a narrative, engaging me with characters, you know, putting the right lead or hook up front, whatever way it manifests, good writing still is necessary, and it's going to happen. You know, beyond that, the external nature of books or digital it's changing for sure. But and there's positives and there's negatives about it, you know. But
How can we say we're still right there in the middle We're not going to live that long to know. Okay, I'm sorry. One more thing.
That's a good point, isn't it, Laura?
Yeah. One more thing.
Sure.
I just want to say I'm not really a journalist, an interviewer, and work for Cat TV.
No, I think you're
but
doing
I
well.
do some writing on my own, so I'm learning something out of this show too. So that's why I wanted to do it.
Yeah. And that's why we write, because we write to learn, we write to discover,
Yeah.
we write to figure out what our stories and interests are.